Hello, welcome everyone to one more iteration of our Instant Expert webinar series. My name is Mikael Castro. I'm the country manager for Abercrombie & Kent in Brazil. And today we're going to be talking about beaches, Brazil's beaches in general and beach destinations. So it's about 20-minute webinar. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat box and we'll take those questions at the end. Filtering those questions and organizing them for me is Dalia Jibu, our Director of Marketing and Sales for the region for Abercrombie & Kent, South America. So let me get started and show you some beautiful photos of the beaches in Brazil and tell you about some of the destinations that we can enjoy in the warm summer seasons, or the hot summer seasons, I should say, throughout the year of Brazil. So let's get started with the team. This is Abercrombie & Kent Brazil team. Young, joyful, very happy group of people that work here with me in our office in Rio. We're 15 people at the moment. And although we look very young and joyful, there are years and years, decades of experience in this team working on inbound tourism for luxury travelers all through Brazil. So this is what I plan to cover today. I've selected sort of two portions of Brazil's coastline to go a bit more into detail. I'm going to skip over Salvador and Trancoso and Porto Seguro and Itacaré because those I covered in the webinar for Salvador. So if you didn't get to participate in that webinar or listen in, it's been recorded, so you can just check with Delia and she'll send you a link for that. So I'll talk about some of the beach opportunities in the south and in the north. So let me start with a general overview. Brazil has more than 7,500 kilometers of coastline of some of the world's best beaches. And generally it is hot and sunny year-round on these beaches in Brazil. So of course, the further north you go, the more sun we get around the year. But even further down south, where you have some of the resorts that I'll talk about, it's a year-round destination. So besides that, I think the beaches in Brazil offer a more authentic sort of beach getaway experience. It's not your fly and flop, to the Caribbean, where many of the islands where everybody speaks English and you're basically in an extension of the United States. The idea with Brazil is, get a little bit out of your comfort zone, maybe, go somewhere where not 100% of the people speak English, taste some different food, and just get a sense of the place. And that's what is so fun about Brazil. Also, kite surfing, sandboarding, surfing in general, stand-up, all these great beach sports and adventures. Those we do a lot of in Brazil, and we have some particular destinations that are really prime for these sports as well. So I'll talk about that. Let's get started with the south. Florianopolis, to be exact, and just outside of Florianopolis, about 50 kilometers out, is my favorite, or one of my favorite resorts in Brazil. This is the Ponta dos Ganchos resort, and why I love it so much is it is probably one of the more luxurious properties, one of the ones with the best privacy, the best service, really great food, and it's super accessible. And I think that's what makes it so attractive for many of our clients. Guests that are coming down to South America and are trying to cover a lot of destinations all at once. Maybe they're going to Chile and then Buenos Aires and Rio. And at the end of this long South America trip, they just want a vacation from their vacation. This is the place to do that because you have good flights from Rio, from Sao Paulo, from Buenos Aires, from various destinations. You fly in straight to Florianopolis, and then it's a short transfer, about 50 kilometers, to Ponta dos Ganchos resort. And the resort, it's a beach resort for sure, because they do have a private little beach, but it's more about you know, getting away, sort of being enjoying the company of each other, of the room, of this beautiful view. All of the bungalows have a view out to the ocean, and some delicious food and good service. We have some of the experiences are, this delicious dinner on the island. You see the island on the photo there, but also scuba diving and snorkeling and yoga. There's some great trails to beaches. We do a wonderful speedboat tour around the archipelago and different islands. And the lodge, the resort itself has stand-up paddleboard and canoe that you can go out and paddle on. So it's a great place for couples, great place for honeymoons, for that sort of experience. For families with small kids, not so much. It's a property that doesn't necessarily accept kids. So except for Christmas, kids 12 or up. So besides that, it's a perfect place then for adults and couples. Now, moving further up the coast, just outside of Rio, this Búzios also offers a good extension from somebody, a beach extension, if you will, from guests that are staying in Rio. So Búzios, I recommend always with a grain of salt. It is a bit of a year-round destination. We try to avoid July and August, September sometimes. When it's a bit cooler, those are our winter months, and so it is a bit sort of the slow season of Búzios. But all the other months of the year, and particularly December, January, it's super hot and a great place to experience a diversity of local beaches. It's just about 3 hours drive from Rio, so it's a great extension. You can take a helicopter out there, and it's a quick shot from Rio. That's what makes it super convenient. And we have several properties that we work with. I'll just point out two of my favorite, Vila da Santa and Casas Brancas. Both of these properties have sort of the boutique level of service that we look for. A small property with a lot of attention to detail. Vila da Santa is a great sort of family spot as well. It reminds me of a family spot because it was put together by a family, Bettina and Pierre, so a Brazilian and a French couple, sort of established this little property and really built it up into a wonderful small boutique hotel. And it has that very cared after feel. It's right on Ossos Beach, so it's a great spot for a family with small kids. You can just walk out and sit on the beach, and from there take a water taxi to some of the dozens and dozens of beaches that Búzios has. The other property, a bit more for adults, is Casas Brancas. It's got a bit of that Mediterranean feel to it. A great pool, wonderful service, and also good access to the various beaches of Búzios. And that's what makes Búzios so special. Of course, it's the access from Rio, but it's more than 20 different beaches, all nestled around this little archipelago, or peninsula, I should say. So with a water taxi, you hop from beach to beach, and then there's a nice little downtown where you have some great little restaurants and shops, and that sort of completes the experience. Also along the coastline around Rio, and essentially between Rio and São Paulo, the two sort of main international gateways for Brazil, is Paraty and Angra dos Reis. So Paraty and Angra are really great spots for the green coast. So this is where you see the Atlantic rainforest really spill into the ocean, to the Atlantic. Several spots that we recommend here. In Angra, particularly, my favorite is the Fazano Angra. They do an excellent job of taking care of you. This is definitely a family destination. I mean, their kids center is wonderful. They have great monitors to take care of kids. And it's a great spot for anybody that loves boating or yachting. And basically, one of the great activities to do throughout the day is go, island hopping and jumping and snorkeling in the water. Beautiful green emerald waters of Angara. We also have some private islands that we can rent out. Some islands have up to 5 rooms, or 5 couples can stay there. So about a group of 10. It's a great family rental, if you will. Comes with a helicopter and a boat, or a helicopter transfer and a boat. But one of the destinations not too far from Angara, which I really want to talk about as well, is Parachi. Parachi to me is special because I think it combines nature as well as the historical and cultural aspects of the coast. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site for its historical value, and we work with a couple properties there. One of them is Posada Literaria, a beautiful hotel, well located in this historical district, the walking pedestrian area of Parachi. And they have a couple private villas in that area as well, which are rentable for families. And so is Casa Turquesa, a beautiful property, super well managed and well regarded by its service. And these two properties are also, or this property is also in the historic district. So a great location for Parachi. Parachi doesn't have a beach per se, but from there you do boat trips, and one of the best boat trips is really island hopping through the different beaches in the archipelago of Parachi and Angara as well. And the historic downtown area is beautiful, super quaint with lots of little shops, and it's got that very colonial feel. You can also do a delicious cachaça tasting experience. There's some waterfalls in the rainforest in the back that you go and visit. So we have a full destination there of experiences with cultural value, historic value, and natural value as well. All right, I'm going to move along. There's lots to talk about in this webinar, so I'm going rather quick, but I do want to talk about the north. So the north, there's this really special place called Lençóis Maranhenses. And Lençóis Maranhenses, if you're going just to these sand dunes with the freshwater lagoons in between, this is a national park just outside of São Luís. If you're going just here, we recommend at least 3 to 4 nights, and it is a wonderful spot. One of the best places that we recommend is La Ferme de Georges, also a French a guy that put together this beautiful property. It's expanded in the last couple of years, so they have more rooms, but it is still very much a boutique property, and it's in Achins, so it's right between the dunes and the ocean, basically, in a small little fisherman village that basically has no streets. It's all paved with sand. I mean, it's not even paved. It's just buildings in a sand dune, but a really cool place. That this is what it's like all the way out there. So one of the ways to get there is this scenic flight over the dunes. I've done it. It's fantastic. I mean, you really get a sense of how special this scenery is when you fly over it. So you fly from São Luís and you land in Barreirinhas. I'll show you in a map in just a second. And that has an overflight of the national park. And from Barreirinhas, you can take a transfer out to Achins, where La Ferme de Georges is. It's a rather complex area to operate, so it's always good to have the help from A&K and local experts there. We know this area really well. And I think the best way to really enjoy this area is not just to go to Lençóis Maranhenses, but to really go further. So you fly into here to São Luís, and you, which is right here, I'll highlight it for you. There we go. And then you do a flight or a drive, a 3-hour drive to Lençóis. But the real cool thing to do is to make it the entire vacation, the entire trip, and do a ground overland program from Lençóis all the way to Fortaleza, and you stop for a couple nights along the way. And that's a real cool trip. I mean, you really need 5 to 7 days to do it well and relaxed and fun. It's a great family vacation, and it's all overland. So basically, from one day to the next, you're driving along the beach, literally on the beach, along the coast for kilometers and kilometers. Stop and enjoy the sand dunes. Stop, have a wonderful, fresh seafood lunch somewhere. And then you end up in your next sort of destination, and that's how you spend the days. It's a really fun way to do it. One of the destinations, one of the accommodations along the way, I'm not going to talk about all of them just because of time, is Bahia das Caraúbas, which is right between Jericoacoara and Barra dos Remédios. And it's a real great sort of glamping experience because there aren't many other properties, or there are no other properties on this particular beach, and that's what makes it so special. From August to November, the wind is really great for kite surfing. So it's a very popular destination for kite surfers, one of the best in the world. But throughout the year, it's sunny. I mean, it hardly ever rains. Maybe they get some drops of rain in October and November, but it's really not a rainy destination at all. And it's a super experience. There they have 7 bungalows, 7 different properties that are anywhere from 30 to 120 square meters. So there are different categories, room categories, and you can go just for the room or do a buyout of the property, which is great. And this route basically ends in just outside of Fortaleza in Jericoacoara, which is also has a national park. Beautiful destination that has become popular in the last few years. And one of the new hotels there, which I think is a spectacular property, opened just over a year ago, or actually just about a year ago, called Casana. Casana has also just 8 rooms, but it is a very high-end property. Lots of investment was put into this place. State-of-the-art rooms, but very beachy as well. So it's a cool combination that they were able to do. I'll just show you some of the experiences here. Let's see if this video works while I talk through them. But basically, this whole area is all about the sand dunes and enjoying the experiences both in the ocean and running around and enjoying these sand dunes. We do a wonderful breakfast on the sand dunes and various other activities. You just feel like a child in a big playground of dunes and water. So that's what makes it so much fun. Besides the dunes, we do experiences on 4x4s or UTVs, which I think are super cool. They're like ATVs, but more robust, stronger, and go up and down these dunes and rough roads like anything. And guests get to drive them. That's what makes it so special. So whether you're into that sort of adventure or kite surfing, or just sitting by the water in a hammock and having great cocktails, there are a lot of experiences to do in this destination. These are the UTVs I was talking about. These vehicles are really fun to drive, and guests get to drive them up and down the dunes. And of course, going down the dunes is what makes it so much fun. The bigger the dune, the more adventurous, and it's super safe as well because these cars don't really flip over. So in any case, lots of fun things to do here. Let's see if I can stop the video and move on to some of the photos. Some great restaurants and great dining experiences already in this destination. Besides being so far out there, you can get some really great craft cocktails and some fine dining as well. We know some hidden spots, which we love to recommend for guests doing this route. Another activity which I didn't show in the video, zip lining. So during the season where you visit, which is really from June to October, that's when these freshwater pools are filled. They set up zip lines at the top of the dune, and basically you zip line down and fall into the water. Couldn't be funner. Like I said, it's like an adult playground. And of course, driving the sand buggies and UTVs along the dunes as well. Very adventure, sun-and adventure destination. Great destination for a young family or family with teenagers. Really, really great experiences for that. Let's see if I can move on. So in general, another sort of moment that we do is we do a sundowner moment over the dunes, which is, you know, a perfect way to end the day there. But we can also start the day at the dunes with a beautiful breakfast that we set up as a little surprise for guests. Going to move on to the last destination. This is a real short one, but I would be remiss in not mentioning Fernando de Noronha as a beach destination in this webinar. So this is an island right here on the map called Fernando de Noronha Island, and it's a short plane ride away from Natal or Recife. It's like our little protected Galapagos, tropical Galapagos, because it's a marine park all throughout this archipelago. There's lots of nature-based activities. It's very protected, but it's tropical weather. It's all, you know, about snorkeling and diving and so forth. It is beachy and lots of beach hopping, but it's not your beach resort type experience necessarily. You know, of course, we do have some wonderful properties. Our favorite is Pousada Maravilha. Also small boutique properties, large rooms. It's one of the few properties on the island that actually has a beach view because all the beaches are protected. You can't really build on the beach there. And you know what you do in Fernando de Noronha is it's a great diving destination. It's a great snorkeling destination. You go hiking on some of the trails to see the beaches, beach hopping essentially. You can always see dolphins in one of the bays, spinner dolphins. So that's always a fun experience. And then the boat rides around the island as well, or the various islands, I should say. So I want to save some time for questions. So I'm going to end the webinar here. I know there may be lots of questions because I ran through some things, but fire them along, Dalia. What do we have?
Perfect, Mikael. So we have a question. There was an article on Condé Nast Travel Magazine about the beaches in Rio de Janeiro not opening during the virus until there is a vaccine. Can you tell us a little bit about it? Since you live in Rio, you have that firsthand information.
Sure. I had a sense this might be one of the questions. We are talking about beaches in Brazil. Yeah, the one of the, I think the officials mentioned that they are conscious of gathering large amounts of people on the beaches of Rio. So they're thinking about only doing this after there's a vaccine. Although I've been to the beach in the last few days, the beach is still open for anybody that wants to do sports, running, swimming, any sort of non-contact sport is still doable on the beach. So it's the beach is actually more pleasant than ever because it's not as crowded and you can still enjoy it in a way. And you go to the beach, you go for a swim, but you know, they're not allowing people to sit down at the moment and just bask in the sun just because they're worried about how many people might come together. I think it was more of a measure that they put out there and haven't really thought about. And I think as things progress, some of these measures may be revisited. But we don't really know when the beaches will fully reopen the way that they've been, and when they do, how people will make sure to keep, you know, certain distance. So.
Okay, so I have a question. Mikael, tell us a little bit about how would your perfect trip through the Route of Emotions be? Like how many days in each, or many nights in each place, and when?
Sure. So I think the best route. Let me put up a map here so I can go back through it for you. The best route I would do in about 6 days, and flying into St. Louis first, because it progressively gets better this way. So you fly in from St. Louis in terms of accommodations. You drive in and you hit the Lençóis, the main dunes first. And you have that, big wow experience at the beginning. You stay at La Femme de Jarge for a couple nights, and you do the river around there. After a couple nights there, you move along to this river, the Delta da Parnaíba. That's a full day sort of activity and drive. And you stay there for at least 1 or 2 nights. And there's a wonderful, there are several activities along the river, the Delta, the Parnaíba River, or Delta. And then from there, I would go, you do a longer stretch and stay at Baía das Canaúbas. That's a great property because it's right before you get to Jericoacoara. And stay there for a couple nights and then end at a property like Casana, just outside of Fortaleza. And then it depends how much time you have. At the end, you could spend just another 2 nights, or you could spend a whole week. It really depends. There is another alternative ending. Before you get to Fortaleza, you can stay at Zora Beach property, which is just after you get to Jericoacoara, which is about here. On the way back to Fortaleza, there's another property called Zora, also beautiful boutique property right on the beach. And it's less about necessarily the sand dunes there, more about the beach and just sitting back and relaxing. So, but the total I would do 3 nights, 2 nights here, 2, and then 2. That's the shortest way to do it, for sure. If you have more time, you can spread along, and I would usually spread it out at the end. Put more time at the tail end, so you get to just sit back and relax.
Okay, Mikael, and if you are, on a rush trip through Brazil and you only have 3 nights to spend at the beach and you are in Rio, which beach destination and hotel would you choose for that short?
Oh, that's a great question. That's a great question. I think one of the best, it depends on the time of year. If Búzios, if you want, a beach destination where there's other people and you still want that sense of boutique shops and restaurants, Búzios is a great option because you don't have to get on a plane or go anywhere. Another option is just to enjoy Rio. I mean, Rio, in essence, is a great beach destination. People forget about that, but on weekends when I can, I just sit on the beach and you feel like you're on vacation. It's a wonderful beach to enjoy. But to get out of Rio, the other one that I would mention, and sometimes it's just our go-to, is Ponta dos Ganchos, because it's a short flight away. The flights aren't very expensive, and it's a fully exclusive property. So if it's not our winter months necessarily where it's colder in the south, so that's going to be June to August, then I would certainly recommend Ponta dos Ganchos as an option, because from there you just fly back São Paulo and then back to your destination or your home from there. So that's also an option. And Angra works as well. Angra is just a drive away, and that's for those that really enjoy a bit more boating or want a resort like Fazana. That's great for families. So sorry, I know it's a few options, but it really depends on each guest's profile and what they're enjoying. If it's a honeymoon or a family vacation, and so forth.
That's great. Well, I love Florianopolis, and actually there was a question about it, so you just answered that with Ponta dos Ganchos. And also we have that direct flight from Buenos Aires, so if they wanted to connect to Buenos Aires and go back, that's another option. Angra, I would take that word from you, Mikael, and say not drive, but maybe speedboat to Angra or helicopter ride, like
definitely the helicopter ride.
That was awesome.
It's definitely the helicopter ride. It's a 40-minute ride, 35 to 40-minute ride, and I think it's one of the most beautiful helicopter rides I've taken. You get to really see the full coastline, and then you arrive. I mean, you're just there, so you avoid 3 hours transfer, 3.5 hour transfer. Actually, yeah, more like 3.5 hour transfer if you're going to the Paisano. Although it's a scenic transfer, you know, it's still a long drive.
And can you tell us, so I'm going to ask you this, your 3 favorite private villas that A&K can cater in beach destinations in Brazil. So you have to name 3.
Okay. Sure. Well, one of them is definitely going to be one of the private islands out in Angra dos Reis archipelago, so Ilha do Japão, which I think is incredible. Just the sense of having your own private island, you know, I think is super cool. Another one I'll put out there, which isn't in our isn't in this presentation because it was in the other one, is the private villa in Trancoso. Trancoso, we presented in the other webinar, particularly at Anderson Cooper's house, right on the square of the Trancoso village, just like a 10-minute walk to the beach. That house is just spectacular, and a great little private villa to enjoy Brazil and its beaches. And the final one, I would have to do the Northeast for sure, and I'm going to go with Bahia das Caraúbas, because I think, you know, it is just such an authentic place, and I love the type of private villas where there's nothing else around, no other construction, you know, no other visitors, just you and sort of the natural environment where that place is located. So really gives you that sense of place.
Okay, so yeah, the last question, Mikael. Last question, I promise. So your favorite hotel for families, your favorite, well, beach hotel for families, for honeymooners, and for, so families with small kids, family with teenagers, and for honeymooners.
Yeah, so I'm gonna hit on some of the same, you know, destinations that I want to drive people to, because I think those really work well. Honeymooners should definitely think about Ponta dos Ganchos first. If it's the right time of year, just because of access, the quality of service, and the exclusivity. You know, the bungalows are far away from each other. The rooms are really big and ample. Each room has its own private pool. That really just makes it enjoyable. There are lots of little activities for you to do as a couple. You know, dinner on the island, all of that. Small kids, I have to say Angra. I love taking my daughter. She's going to be 3 now, and she loves Angra, and they have an amazing little kids center, and that just makes the whole stay so enjoyable. We're just waiting for Angra to open up, it should open in the next couple of weeks. They're just waiting for the final authorities to open it up, and then we're going to go visit again, just because you know, it's a great spot for kids. It really is. They can run around. It's super safe. And finally, for kids for families with older kids and adventure, the Emotions route, Casana in Jericoacoara, or even La Ferme de Georges by Lençóis and Achins, those spots. I mean, imagine doing this with your family. You know, it is so much fun. And it's also a beach vacation, you know, which I think works well for that sort of family with teenagers. So I hope that answers the question.
Yes, it does. There was a question about rates of the properties and the helicopter rides and boat transfers, but those are like, there are so many that we will send that information by email.
Sure.
And thank you, Mikael, for an amazing webinar. I am, you know, it's winter here in Lima, so I'm looking forward to go back to Brazil and enjoy some of these beach destinations. Always in our winter, it's not winter in Brazil, so it's really good.
It's always summer here somewhere.
Always summer in Brazil. So thank you very much to everyone. Wishing you a lovely weekend. And next week we start our webinars on Ecuador with Margarita Sanchez. So make sure you sign up. If you don't have the links, if you have not received the email, let me know. Send me a message and I'll send it right away. Okay. Thank you so much, Mikael.
Thank you, Dalia.
Take care. Bye.
Take care.